everybody. Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Health Discourse with Sakshi and Sushant. Hi, Sushant. Good morning.
Very good morning.
So, folks, today our discussion will span around the GLP-1 because it has been a couple of months that we have seen very interesting discussions from various influencers, various scientists and doctors. And most of the people they are saying that GLP-1 is a necessity for people with obesity, diabetes, and several metabolic issues. So, Sushant, let us begin the discussion. So, my first question to you is that we should. I think we have heard that many people are saying that GLP-1 has a lot of side effects. Okay, and you should not be taking it, and then it could lead to chronic kidney diseases and other metabolic issues, right?
Mhm.
So let us break the myth. First of all, let us begin that what exactly is the GLP-1? Is it a hormone or is it a peptide? Okay. Secondly, what are the side effects, right? That are being prominently propagated in the Indian population. So over to you, Sushant.
Okay, thank you. So this is something very important. I have seen, a lot of misinformation around it, or maybe a lot of folks just reading few research papers and trying to create a causative relationship between GLP-1, uh, which they call as drug, right? I'm going to tell you it is, but they call it drug. It's actually a peptide. And how certain cases maybe this drug could be harmful for kidneys and other health issues, but it cannot be generalized that it will be impacting a lot of these things. But yeah, there are research around it, right? But let's first start, what is GLP? So GLP is glucagon like peptide, GLP-1, right? And it is a signaling molecule. So, right, glucagon is an hormone, right, which is actually, our body produces this gut microbiome actually when they ferment a lot of dietary fiber, inulin, and a lot of these other fiber in our foods. They produce GLP-1, right? These are mostly, bitrate producing bacteria and other beneficial bacteria in our gut, right? So this actually regulates your satiety, blood sugar response. In simple words, I'm not going to too much technical, but again, in simple layman's language, it improves your satiety, it suppresses your hunger, it slows down your gastric emptying, right? So essentially it makes you feel fuller. That's a normal way of how our body helps us control our calorie intake, right? So that's a normal way of how we what GLP-1 glucagon like peptide is, right? So most of the people who have who are obese or who have hyperglycemia or high blood sugar levels have certain uh, uh, conditions which may be linked to lack of this GLP-1 production inside the body, right? And again, initially this drug was designed for diabetic population, but since now researchers and healthcare practitioners found that this drug is also connected with treating weight gain and obesity, right? So this has been formulated into a drug for weight loss, right? And that's a challenge. That's a challenge and quite of insecurity for a lot of people, especially fitness companies who does not want to accept the fact that there are certain pharmaceutical interventions which although have a side effect but could help in weight loss, right? So that's a basic issue with the GLP-1, right? And most of these drugs. So that is first thing, right? To answer your question about what is GLP-1. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Now let's to the side effects part. Many people are saying that there are side effects. So what kind of side effects? I mean, we know that there is a side effect which is like nausea or maybe constipation. But these might be some of the low grade side effects. But what is your take on this thing?
So I'll talk about the common side effects, right, which generally would have on a broader population, right? But whether it is going to lead to impact your eyes or hair or your kidney issues or heart issues is something which is very, very specific. And what I believe or what I have found that it's mostly would impact those people who already have an underlying kidney condition or heart condition or maybe underlying autoimmune issue, right? But majorly, what you mentioned was right, nausea, vomiting, morning sickness is something which is a common symptom. Then the major issue is muscle loss, right? So again, because it creates a situation of starvation, so it directly what it does, it actually inhibits the secretion of glucagon. Right? So these drugs, again, these are peptide signaling molecules, as I mentioned. So these inhibits the secretion of glucagon, and then also it also hits the reward mechanisms in our brain, which stimulates hunger, right? So essentially it is also impacting your gut brain axis, right? So in that way, it suppresses your dietary intake and it creates a starvation effect, which actually creates a situation of muscle loss. And then what research has found that these drugs have could lead to around 10 to 15% of fat loss in a span of 1 to 1.5 years, around 15 to 18 months, right? But again, this weight loss is also accompanied by a huge muscle loss, so much so that you may lose muscle in 1 year, which you are supposed to lose in 10 years when you age, right? So it's a rapid muscle mass loss and rapid fat loss. So it also impacts your metabolism, right? It also impact your basal metabolic rate, which generally people consider when they are counting their calories, or
BMI.
yeah,
BMI, right?
BMR, right? So basic metabolic rate, right? So basal metabolic rate. So these are the uh, common, very, very pertinent issues in terms of the side effects. The second side effect is the loss of bone mineral density, right, which is also impacted by, because it directly disrupts your metabolism, right? So these three are the major issues, right? And then the fourth one, obviously, it forcibly puts you slows down your gastric emptying, right? So a lot of so when a lot of food is stuck in your stomach, it gets rotten, and it is again your gut bacteria could actually could come and ferment those and produce endotoxins such as lipopolysaccharides, again, which could lipopolysaccharides could actually disrupt your insulin receptors on your various muscle cells and liver cells and fat cells, and again it could create a situation of hyperglycemia and diabetes. So again, it could have those side effects, right? A second thing is, if you are consuming protein and during this while you are taking GLP-1 drugs, right? And again, these could lead to protein fermentation and produce harmful byproducts, which could also impact your brain issues and your other metabolic health issues, right? So these are the major concern, and that's why, since it is impacting your muscles, so it is also going to impact your biological age, right? So you may, if you're taking high doses of GLP-1, or if you're taking GLP-1 drugs without resorting to protocols which could, and I'm going to discuss the protocols also. So protocols which could help you preserve your muscles. If you're not preserving your muscles, probably it would lead to rapid aging. That is another side effects of taking these drugs. Having said that, uh, uh, the effectiveness of these drugs, again, whether these drugs are going to help you or not, again depends upon your microbiome, upon your gut microbiome, because certain gut bacteria actually could, as they metabolize food, they also metabolize these drugs. So essentially, the interaction between the microbiome and these drugs could have an impact whether these drugs are going to work or not, right? And then also people who have a right amount of thyroid and testosterone levels also respond better with these drugs, right? So again, these are again testosterone, and we all know the testosterone and thyroid is also disruption is also impacted by your gut microbiome. So obviously, gut dysbiosis is one of the key reasons why you have GLP-1 deficiency, and also one of the key reasons why even if taking your drugs would not be as effective as you expect. Right?
So I think let's move to the protocols as you mentioned. So what should be before taking the GLP, what should an individual do? And what should be the protocol once you've taken it, right?
Okay, so you have to see three aspects, three pillars which we always talk at Gene Freakletics. So one is your, since I mentioned there's an, a starvation condition and there's a huge muscle mass loss, right, and loss of bone mineral density. So first thing is your gut microbiome, right? So your gut microbiome is something which you have to. So I would recommend, even if you're unless you're too much obese, right? Maybe you are 20, 30 kgs, 40 kgs overweight, right? So then that's a problem. Then you may resort to these drugs, right? Because obviously you're not getting the kind of results which you may be expecting over last couple of years or couple of months, right? Handful of months. So ideally, first thing is obviously before you resort to these drugs, try to, my suggestion to everyone is who has certain weight gain, not substantial, maybe 5 kilo or 5 to 8 kilos, right? Probably I would recommend fix their microbiome, fix their gut microbiome so that it can stimulate. First thing is GLP-1, or probably it could stimulate production of other indole derivatives such as indole propionic acid, indole acetic acid, which is an alternative to GLP-1, which has a similar effect of, regulating your satiety and suppressing your hunger, right? So this is one aspect. Other aspect is your gut microbiome is something which you need to fix if you really want to prevent. If you want to not take these drugs, rather again, do not fall for these high protein and sort of considering that weight gain is about a calorie excess calorie consumption. No, it is an inflammation. So first thing is inflammation triggered by gut microbiome. So idea should fix your gut microbiome, understand your gut microbiome functions, and stimulate bitrate production, stimulate indole propionic acid, indole acetic acid production, right? Uh, Also, bile acid is something. If you regulate the bile acid metabolism, it could also help you in regulating your satiety, right? So these are the three basic pathways you should look at. Couple of pathways you should look at, right? Uh, then this is one thing. Then other is cellular inflammation. So your cells are inflamed. That's why your thyroid, even if your body is producing enough of T4, T3 or TSH, right, or is producing enough of testosterone also, right? But if you don't have, if your cells are inflamed, they cannot express these hormone receptors on its surface, and then probably you will have impact on your metabolic activities. So ideally, fix your cellular inflammation. So it could be your diet driven, it could be your sleep driven, it could be your exposure to glyphosates and molds and other chemicals, right, which directly penetrates into your cells and directly impact even your brain, right? So that is one thing. And people who are saying, fix your lifestyle. So these are generalized thing, fix your lifestyle. Well, yeah, you're right, you have to fix your lifestyle and your dietary choices, but you can't generalize that eat all fruits and vegetables, as I've discussed in my previous video yesterday, that it all depends upon how your biology interact with every single molecule in the food you eat. So when you talk of lifestyle, you have to fix your microbiome, right? So your microbiome controls 99% of your biology. So ideally, if you really want to fix your lifestyle and do not fall for these generic interventions which a lot of these fitness influencers and fitness folks are telling. So focus more on understanding your microbiome, fixing your microbiome. So that is one aspect of so one is gut microbiome, other is your cell inflammation. Third is your oral microbiome. So again, your oral bacteria could produce nitric oxide, which plays a key role in regulating your glucose uptake. So again, uh, understand why you have cavities, or what kind of, whether you're using mouthwash or not, what kind of toothpaste you're using. You have to fix your oral hygiene as well. So that's how, what you talk of lifestyle is, you have to look at body as a whole whole. You have to look at your oral microbiome functions, your gut microbiome functions, your cellular functions, right? So these are few things which you should consider if you are mildly overweight, right? Or because there are certain inflammatory cascades going on inside your body, right? So that is one aspect to it. But people who are obese, right, and who wants to subscribe to these drugs, right? So there are certain essential protocols you should consider, right? Which I'm going to discuss now is that, first thing is, as I mentioned, is a muscle loss. So you have to make sure that you are exercising well, you are doing weight training, right? Whether it is you're using weights or body weight or probably resistance bands or whatever you're using, you should do 45 minutes to 1 hour weight training every single day, right? Uh, have right amount of amino acids in your diet, and again you have to consider the quantity of amino acid and what specific amino acid, because certain amino acids may be metabolized by your gut microbiome into harmful byproducts such as ammonia, pyridine, and hydrogen sulfide and a lot of these things. So essentially you have to understand whether your what specific amino acid in what quantity and what frequency you have to consume. Ideally, you should have sufficient amount of amino acids in your diet, right? Third thing is that since your metabolism goes for a toss, you should focus on your mitochondria, right? So supporting mitochondria in terms of making your gut microbiome produce urolithin A, which stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, right? Even urolithin A is also said to improve your muscle mass quality and improve your muscle mass, right? Then it also, urolithin A also promotes your VO2 max, which again is one of the key markers for how well your body is using oxygen during exercise, right? Then spermidine is another postbiotic which your gut microbiome may produce, which also helps you in your mitochondria, and mitochondria supports your muscle strength and and your muscle restoring your muscle mass, or repairing or doing the repair work in the muscles, right? Then creatine, again, as I mentioned in my previous video, it is a mitochondrial booster sort of molecule which you should consider. Then when you're taking protein, you should also look at certain digestive enzymes, right? Because it may help prevent the fermentation of protein by your microbiome. So that is one aspect of the protein consumption absorption you should consider, right? And then have a lot of fiber in your diet, in terms of which could stimulate bitrate production, or produce stimulate again indole acetic or indole propionic acid. And also one more thing, yeah. So another postbiotic could be sodium bitric acid, which is again bitrate. If your gut microbiome is not producing enough bitrate, probably you could consider that uh, postbiotic as a part of this protocol. Then the most important aspect is here is stem cells. So we all know that our stem cells can actually mobilize and differentiate into different cells, including muscle stem cells, what we call satellite cells. And again, these can help in muscle regeneration and overcoming the muscle loss, right? And uh, so again, your oral microbiome actually produces nitric oxide, which helps stem cell mobilize and differentiate into various cell types. Right. So this is very important because GLP-1 could lead to muscle loss. So stem cell differentiation and mobilization is very very important for regeneration. Apart from what diet you're consuming, nutrition, your exercise, and then your stem cell, you should be able to make your oral microbiome produce the signaling molecule nitric oxide, which actually is actually causes stem cell mobilization differentiation, right? So these are few of the aspects which I consider is very important if you really want to take GLP-1, and you really want to have, because once you leave these drugs, right, obviously you will start gaining weight, you know and even when, since you lost that muscles, your weight, your fat will take place of that muscles in your body, right? So what you call is sarconic obesity, right? So that is one way of your fat would take place of your muscles, right? So these are the few protocols, and again, these drugs have side effects, right? These are peptides. These could lead to muscle loss. These could lead to nausea, vomiting issues. These could also have an impact on your kidneys if you have inflammatory cascades going on. Also, because when you have an inflammatory, issues going on, oxidative stress, probably these protein fermentation by your gut microbiome because of slow gastric emptying could also further trigger this. So these could be one of the reasons, right? Yeah.
I think we've covered most of the part of the protocols that you just mentioned. Also, apart from that, on the nutrition front, I think you've given us some enzymes and molecules which are pretty necessary for the GLP-1, right? But Sushant, still, would you recommend this to somebody who has an underlying health condition or not? Because you've again, time again, you've mentioned it that that people with underlying health condition may end up experiencing severe symptoms at all. And from what I've understood, that the people who are mostly diabetic and they are having obesity, it is definite that there will be inflammation inside going on inside their bodies, right? So should they be going for this thing? Because that is, what I have experienced that a lot of people ask.
See, I will not recommend. As I mentioned, if you are very obese, right?
Hmm.
Also because of your dietary choices, the unknowingly exposed to your molds and glyphosate. So let me explain that as well. So most of the wheat products, right,
Hmm.
have been sprayed with glyphosates, right, which again could disrupt your cellular biology. It can get inside your cell and make your cells inflamed. So they cannot express these receptors on the cell membrane surface, and then again these could lead to the disruption in the cellular communication with thyroid hormone, with testosterone, and that's could be one of the reasons for weight gain. Similarly, mold here. So if you're consuming coffee which is being produced in the hot and humid regions, or or these peanuts or corn, all these have molds, and molds again can get inside your cells and can disrupt your cellular functions. So again, that is one of the things which could lead to weight gain. So probably you should understand those conditions. If those are the issues, probably you should fix them before, rather than going for these medicines. So probably you may not have a GLP-1 deficiency, right? So first thing is you have to understand whether you have a GLP-1 deficiency or not, whether what is the underlying reason for weight gain, right? That is first aspect, right? So obviously I will not recommend these drugs, right? Because your body itself produces the signaling molecule, right? So it's for basically, and then there are multiple side effects also. What we have seen, there are people, we cannot negate the fact that there are side effects on your other kidney function, heart function, and a lot of other metabolic health conditions, right? But again, these may not be as prevalent as it seems right now, or maybe there are not many research in terms of what is the incidence of these collateral damages, right? So, but obviously, there is an impact on your aging, there's an impact on your muscle loss, there's an impact on your mitochondria. So, another thing, you should, when if you're taking these drugs, you should also focus on having right amount of minerals and vitamins in your diet, right? Which is going to support your mitochondria, right? So again, these are few things, and yeah, one more one I forgot, right? So do not consume seed oils. Seed oils further lead to your weight gain and obesity
Yes.
situation, right? Right. So oral health is, which is nobody focuses. So you should focus on, improving your oral health, right? Fixing your oral microbiome, right? So as a matter of fact, I will not recommend these drugs to anyone, right, who are looking to lose weight, unless they prioritize weight loss over their, other side effects and other collateral damages. And if someone wants to fall for it, it's fine. But again, if someone really wants to fall for it, so the idea is actually to understand what all other uh, protocols, when you talk of lifestyle, right? So essentially, what kind of protocols you should look at all these things, because these drugs could lead to forceful gastric emptying, which could trigger production of LPS biogut bacteria, or maybe lead to protein fermentation by gut bacteria, which could really impact, right? So probiotics I do not recommend because there's a lot of misinformation about probiotics. So again, I would really say eat right food so that your gut bacteria can produce postbiotics such as urolithin A, or maybe look at urolithin A supplements if you really want to look at it, right? Um, right, if you are very keen on having a rapid weight loss plus do not want to lose your muscle mass, so probably urolithin A is one of the key substrate which could help, right? So yeah, so I'm not going to recommend this. Yeah, but another thing what I want to add here is that uh, even if you're taking these drugs, the effectiveness again depends on your microbiome. So again, you need to measure it before you fix it, right? So essentially, we are going to include now. We are working on this module where we will be eliciting or explaining or decoding the interaction between microbiome and different drugs, right? Including obesity drugs, including diabetes drugs, including heart disease drugs, right? Statins, metformins, right? And even these Ozempic and all these GLP-1 drugs. So probably we could tell whether it is effective or not. And also, if you go for these drugs, probably you should also check your microbiome, check your microbiome functions, which we generally measure. So we are the only company which measures the microbiome functions, both oral and gut microbiome functions. So we can actually uh, tell you, whether these drugs have caused some disruption in your microbiome and how you can actually fix them, right? So that's what I want to say here. Yeah.
Thank you, Sushant. That was a very interesting discussion. We've actually given a lot of points for the people to follow in terms of the protocols, in terms of the side effects and everything, right? And any last words would you like to add before we conclude?
Yeah, so few things there are again, there will be a lot of this narrative around fix your lifestyle, and so first thing you should ask, you know what modifications you need, having
Mhm.
better sleep, having protein, having vegetables, fruits. These are general generic recommendations. This may
Mhm.
or may not work with your biology. So again, certain fruits and vegetables which are good for your wife may not be good for you, or may be good for you, may not be good for your brother or friends, or your children, right? So
Children.
essentially, right, so essentially you should, when you fix your for lifestyle, understand that the first thing is fix your microbiome, which is 99% of your biology, right? Understand how it impacts your cell health, right? So again, fixing lifestyle is everyone knows that is the way to go about it. But again, what you want to fix, how will you fix it? Unless you measure your biology at deep down at molecular level, you can't fix it. Right.
That's correct. That's correct. So thank you, Sushant, and thank you, folks, for listening to our talks time and again. And we will be back with another episode soon. Thank you.
Thank you.